What's up, everyone? My name's Lionel, and I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering today another new series that I've been talking about for the last couple of days. It's called All Her Fault, currently streaming on the Peacock app. I'm just going to be discussing episode 1 today, but we're going to get into this series. All Her Fault, in a brief synopsis, is a thriller, a psychological thriller plot about a missing child that spirals into a web of deceit, including 2 families. So, this missing child all of a sudden comes up, but I'm going to give you the whole episode. We're going to break it down as much as possible. However, first, please like this video. I thank you for coming to my channel. Please also subscribe, and you can leave your comments below. Alright, so let's get into it. So I had seen this TikTok video last week, and it was just a couple of minutes. This person, a content creator on there, that was talking about this, and she just showed the first scene, and totally glued. And then one of my friends on Twitter, shout out to Mr. Nathan, he had talked about it. I said, wait, this is just like, it was probably an hour after I seen this clip, I saw my friend talking about it. So I said, wait, whoa, what is this? Let me get involved into it, and then I just started watching it. I've really only gotten through episodes 1 and 2, but we're going to discuss this and break this down. This is based off a novel from author Andrea Mara. Of course, it's called All Her Fault. When the worst happens, there's always someone to blame. And basically, we're trying to figure out who has her child. Marissa Irvine, who is married to Peter Irvine, they have a son named Milo. Marissa arrives at a house, and she's coming to pick up Milo. An older woman answers and says, hey, I'm coming to pick up my son Milo. He's on a play date. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know Milo or anything. And she said, oh, well, one of the parents, Jenny, one of her sons, Jacob, and my child are supposed to be having a play date. And the address is 1800 Crescent Hollow Road, correct? Yes, it is. You might want to call the lady. They call the number, and the line is disconnected. And the lady that they're calling is Jenny. She's one of the parents of a part of the school that they all go to. So, at this point, the lady has invited her in, and she calls Sarah, who is over the committee of just like scheduling play dates and stuff like that, for, well, not so much play dates, but a lot of the children's activities at the school. And Sarah Lawson, she calls in and says, hey, do you have Jenny's number? The number that I do have seems to be disconnected or whatever. And my son Milo is supposed to be on a play date with Jacob. And Sarah said, are you for sure? Or are you mistaken that today is the day? She's like, no, I'm not. This is the day. Well, Sarah says, well, Jacob's here with me. He's playing with my child. All of a sudden, you can just see that this sudden burden is on Marissa. Like, what is going on? She froze, and Elizabeth is trying to just ask her different questions, trying to help out to assist. And they ask, do you have the number for Jenny? Jenny is Jacob. Yeah, I'd already said that. Jacob is Jenny's mother. Sarah gives it to her. Of course, she was like, yeah, everybody was given the handout. So then Marissa is already panicking at this point. So Elizabeth has offered to dial Jenny. They call Jenny, and Jenny says, she knows nothing about a play date and all that stuff. Marissa says at this point, do you know where Milo is? Like, no, I don't know. He's somewhere else right now. Da-da-da-da-da. So that's the worst thing that's going on. I think that during the midst of it, Marissa was thinking, okay, well, maybe the number was wrong at first, because maybe it was just autocorrect and the address was supposed to be something different. Anyways, Marissa checks Milo's tracker. And I didn't really think about it until now, but I think we need to put that on the table. It's good. I just don't know how many parents are out there that have trackers on the phone. Or not trackers on the phone, but trackers for the children. I think it's a good thing. But At this moment, I think that we got to pay attention to every detail, because I think something is always going to be connected, and if not, at least it's on the table and we can deal with it if we have to deal with it. So Marissa checks Milo's tracker, and it's offline, so she can't even call. She ends up calling her husband, Peter. He's at his job and he's ready to talk like normal talk, like talking about Milo and the pizza, which I didn't understand why he went into that. But anyways, Marissa asked Peter, is Milo with you? And he says, no, he would be with you. So then all of a sudden Marissa just goes home. She opens the door, she's yelling for Milo, searching everywhere. Are you hiding? Da 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 da. Not seeing it. We see that she goes down to another part of the house, and it's a guy. His name is Brian. We find out that that's her brother-in-law, Peter's brother. Have you seen Milo? He's like, no, da 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 da. Peter pulls up to the house, and of course they embrace one another. So then the officers, the detectives, they call the police, of course. They come to question Marissa and Peter just to find out the whereabouts. She talks about when she dropped off Milo last, which was at school, da 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 da. What does he look like? Any special markings or anything on him? They're like, no, da 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 da. What about the nanny that you guys have? They do have a nanny. Her name is Anna Garcia. Anna is off. She's driving down to Fort Wayne. I got to find out what town or city that they are in. I don't know. For a wedding with her boyfriend. They have an apartment or whatever. They said, how did you find Anna? And she said, through the nanny services, background checked, all that was complete and everything looked clear. What kind of jobs do you guys have? Marissa's in wealth management and Peter's in commodities. So they talk about the text that she received and what was she doing at the time that she received this text. She says that she was at work and she really didn't want to leave her job. And this text from Jenny just said, hey, I'm taking Milo for a play date, da 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 da. Then you can pick them up. If they're not there, if I'm not there, then the nanny has them. And she was talking like a mom, like, I just don't really have the time to do what I need to do right now to be there for Milo. So this is just perfect for me, and it just gives me a little break. Obviously, it's leaning into, okay, Marissa, you were negligent. And there's going to be some more negligence that they're going to be talking about in just a few minutes. Then the officers asked, the number that Jenny called, did it match off of the phone list that all the parents get from the school? And she said, I don't know. I really didn't check. I did not save all the phone numbers in my phone in regards to that. I'm just tired and da 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 da. You're going to see this pattern of it's the women that are taking care of the children. Just to let you know. And everything is upon the children, or on the mother, to make sure everything gets done for these children and all that good stuff. So then Jenny, we start getting into her story a little bit. She calls Sarah after talking to her husband. Her husband's name is Richard, long for Richie. She usually calls her husband that. She calls Sarah, that's the one that we were talking about earlier, that's in charge of all of the children's whereabouts. Well, not whereabouts, but how things are organized at the school. She says that Richard's going to be late, just a few minutes, and da 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 da. And Sarah was going a little bit on and on, like, yeah, they're at the, what is her son's name? Jacob is here with my son and all that, and I had to put the TV on. That's not normally what I do. Basically, getting into her tail a little bit about all this. She's like, well, I got to get my youngest son, bathed and all that, da 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 da. Then she starts talking about volunteering. Jenny's not trying to do all that. That's going to come into play in just a few minutes. But Jenny just drives right on past that. And I forgot what she said. Oh, did anything come up about this whole Milo situation? Because I heard from Marissa about that. It was like, I didn't schedule a play date. She's like, yeah. I know you may have thought about this, or not. However, I'm sure there's questions in your mind about why would they pretend to be you, as far as someone texting to say that they're picking up another person's child. Then we get a flashback 2 months earlier. There's a parents meeting. Jenny's the last one showing up. When she sits down, a co-worker's texting her saying, you're back in the office at 4 p.m., right? So there's a demand on her to kind of be present, and a lot of the stuff is the pressures on her to be a career woman, a wife, and a mother. Sarah, she's getting up, welcoming all the parents aboard and the children, and she's talking about the different activities. She's got things labeled within the packet that she's brought, and she thought it was a great idea to do a throwback Thursday where we go back into the 80s. Marissa's there also, and she asked, for whom would this be fun for? Because she said, oh, this would be fun. And Sarah said, why you ask? Well, our children were born in 2019. They know nothing about the 80s. Had a point. Her and Jenny kind of caught eyes in laughter, knowing that was like ridiculous of Sarah to want to have that. We're back in present time. Well, not in present time. We get another scene where we got Anna. Anna is at the school. Did they say what time frame? I don't know. Anyways, I think it was around the same time. But anyways, Anna, since she is Spanish or Mexican, she's having a little difficult time reading some of the booklet that's been given out. And this woman comes up and says, hey, I can help you out. Which child is yours? And she points to Milo. And Anna says, he's perfect. But okay, so it looks like the nanny got something going on. Maybe not. Colin. Colin. If you remember the game when it came to BET, those years of the reboot, the guy that replaced Derwin, he's on there. I think he did another series on like Showtime or Stars. I forgot what it was called, but anyways, yeah. Is it called Survivor's Remorse? He might have been on that show. Might have been on that show. But anyways, he's a business partner of Marissa's. He comes. At first, I was thinking, I really don't know yet since I'm only on episode 2. I thought, he seemed a little bit, there seemed to be more passionate buddy-buddy between Marissa and Colin. So I was like, are they having an affair? I don't know, but we'll set that on the table just in case. They end up discovering Anna's phone because they start calling it. It's on the balcony, well, not the balcony, the porch area. So now they're really freaking out. The next scene, this is nighttime. Jenny has gone to a work dinner meeting. When she sits down and starts talking, Richard is texting her, distracting her, because Richard doesn't know how to function as a parent without Jenny, because Jenny does all the work. So she finally had to excuse herself after being thrown up and not really able to present whatever the presentation is to the guys that are there. Because first he's asking, where's this water bottle for Jacob? And then also, look, can you please call because he's really restless and really needs you. She tries to rest assured that she was going to be there before he goes to sleep, going to tuck him in, Next thing you know, Jenny rushes home in a panic. And we're like, what's going on? But she is now terrified after this news with Marissa and Milo and all that good stuff. So we find out that Jenny has a nanny. Her name is Carrie. Is it right now or no? Oh. They start questioning Jenny and Richie about Carrie. She's 21. She found the nanny on her own. It wasn't through an agency like Marissa did. The detective asks, has Carrie ever been violent? And she says no. But then she thought of a time, and she was reluctant to say anything, but they asked her to say, about a time where she thought that Carrie was about to hit Jacob, but she was really trying to hit a fly. But anyways, it was a misunderstanding. She apologized and all that. So what she thought wasn't really what was up. Okay, Jenny. I guess you couldn't prove anything, so you just went along with that. They suspect that Carrie is the one that sent the text pretending to be Jenny. Then Peter's sister comes, and the sister is quite non-filter and no-nonsense type of person. And she just says, let anything rolls off of her tongue. There was something that was said or exchanged between Peter and Brian. They are brothers. That's also the sister. I don't even think we learned the sister's name in this episode. But anyways, Peter thought she was coming from someplace else, and Brian said that she's coming from another place. Let's put that on the table. I forgot where it was and all that good stuff, but I can roll back and give you that when I do review episode 2. Then we get the next scene. It's 10 days earlier from that night. There's a parents' social, all that good stuff. Sarah at this point is already trying to pressure or push Jenny into volunteering. But she's not really feeling it, and it looks like she's having a panic attack. She goes into the bathroom. Marissa soon joins in. They both have matching outfits. It's the same one. They both complement one another and all that good stuff. Now, there's something I did neglect to mention. Marissa told Jenny that she has never talked to... Marissa told the officers that she's never talked to Jenny. It's only really been in passing. I think this text is the first thing that she knows anything about. Or know anything about as far as conversing. We only saw the eye-to-eye type of smirk. But now, we're finding out that they've had some more conversation. And there was some bonding time in that bathroom. Because they just talked about parenting and how the husbands treat them as far as with the parenting. And you're such an amazing woman, amazing mom, and blah, 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 blah. And Jenny lets out, like, I'm tired of being amazing. And Marissa just hears her out. She vents a little bit. So then, after a little talk, Marissa finds out that Jenny was cornered into volunteering. Marissa says, hey, we're going to get you out of that because she's the type of person that's going to be hell-bent on getting you to volunteer for such and such, Then she said, trying to pour back into her and empower her, let's take a selfie. While Marissa's getting herself together so they can go on and take the selfie, Jenny notices a scar on Marissa's shoulder. It's like, wonder what's that about? But we're putting it on the table. And then they take the selfie. We're almost done. The police end up searching Carrie's room. Later on, Richie and Jenny has compassion. She really wants to see what's happening over there. But Marissa, she really feels bad about what's going on, especially if it has something to do with her nanny. And Richie was encouraging her, don't apologize for anything. They're going to try to pin it on us if we try to do all this. And if you show any type of guilt and all that good stuff. The detective we finally learned is, somebody came by. I guess the real detectives came by. I think some police officers came earlier, and now the detectives have showed up. The detective, they were trying to get a hold of the teacher who was not responsive. They ended up going back to the school and finding Milo's tracker. It's been destroyed. Anna, she comes back to the house. Now, beforehand, Peter and Marissa were like, Anna wouldn't do anything. So Anna pulls up and they go outside and they just start ransacking through her car. Where is he? Milo! I thought you said that she wouldn't do anything, y'all. Irvines, what is y'all doing? Anyways, Anna comes inside and they want to know, have we started talking? Has Anna spoken to Carrie? And she said, no, I've only just seen her around when I'm at school, but I've never spoken to her. However, that's a lie. Some of these folks are telling these little, or omitting stuff. Well, lying. I can't just say omitting. They're lying. Lying and omitting, I'll say that much. And not telling the full truth. Marissa's acting like she never really spoken to Jenny. Anna's acting like she didn't speak to Carrie. Carrie did introduce herself. Carrie Finch, that's what it is. I want to know what Elizabeth, the older woman's last name, if it's Finch. Why would she leave that specific address for Marissa to come to? Maybe we'll learn that name pretty soon anyways. Marissa looks and sees, do they recognize Carrie? She says no. Peter looks at it and he says no. My instincts is to say he knows her. I don't know if he knows her, but let's put that on the table too. Let's see. So then the questions were raised by the Irvine since it's been a while. Like, do you think has something to do with a ransom at this point? They said they don't know because there hasn't been any type of communication about that, but that usually happens within the first 24 hours of something happening. Marissa was like, well, if this isn't about a ransom, because they're talking about, okay, their lifestyles and all that, since they're in wealth management, they could want something from them. But if it's not ransom, she starts naming off, I don't know if I can say this on YouTube, but PEDO file or human trafficking. Of course, Peter is begging her not to say it because then it becomes a reality, and then he starts breaking down crying. Now, earlier, there's something going on with the sister, because the sister was like, I think she was trying to lighten the mood in some type of way, but she was trying to act like, don't you cry, it's all about me. I think it was a way to kind of change the mood or whatever. But anyways, Peter starts crying, and then he ends up saying, why didn't you check the number to Marissa? And then he was like, oh, I'm sorry. You're a great mother. You're an amazing mother. You're this, da, 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 da. Because you can see the horror and the guilt and the burden that's on Marissa of, now it's the blame game, and now you've told me that it's my fault. And she don't even know what happened for real. Then, the next thing that happens, Jenny goes by the Irvines. Marissa at this point has went outside because she's disgusted at what Peter has tried to put on her about blaming her about Milo missing. And the first thing that Jenny says is, I'm so sorry, against her husband's wishes. And then she goes to hug Marissa. Marissa isn't in full hug mode or whatever, but Jenny's trying to show compassion, that's it. We fast forward to day 27 since the kidnapping. The detectives have a list of suspects. It's basically the whole cast up there. So the detective says the money is that she's going to talk. They said that this is an inside job, and she knows that we know, and she's going to want to get ahead of it. I said, whoa, what she is talking about this. So we don't really know. However, I give a 10 out of 10 just on the pilot alone. That doesn't happen a lot, y'all. I usually give series 2 episodes. And by then, if not, then the only way that I would stick with something is if I like the actor or something and I wanted to see it all the way through. But I believe that this is reviewable. I think y'all need to watch it and get into it. Yes, I'm taking my time a little bit, but I'm going to speed up because I have another new series, All's Fair, that I review on Tuesdays. That's starring Kim Kardashian, Glenn Close, Naomi Watts, Tiana Taylor, Sarah, is it Paulin? I think that is, and Niecy Nash. I'm reviewing that one. That's on Hulu. If you got that, or the Disney Plus, go on and check that out. They've already had 4 episodes. All 8 episodes of All Her Fault is streaming on Peacock right now, and it's the #1 show right now. And I'm thinking about buying the book. But anyway, I appreciate everyone for coming. Like this video, and I'll be with you very shortly for the next episode. Probably tomorrow. Anyways, like this video, subscribe, and leave your comments below. And until the next one, peace.